What it's using.
Well, you know, it's so many different types. I want to get the same type so I can get the even weight. You know, yeah. It's just like.
Good land over here.
That's extra stuff you don't need.
You did.
You make me walk. Yeah, that would be funny. There's just some corn in the bucket. And then the alarm goes off. Jackie, want another piece of orange?
Great.
Jack has it. Surprise party.
Well, see, I would have, if I was there, I would have been. Would you really? Take your shirt off.
Great
So, yeah, I always say very good luck to them.
There we go.
All right. Any suggestions?
Gloria, Dan, an 8-year-old.
There's something on the table.
Right? That's what counts.
You can start the ball. Picture right in his mind, so he lives in bed.
I hope this guy doesn't have audio on this.
Oh,
He's not even
I
laughing.
do. Caught on your side. He wants to get a picture. Okay. Good to go? Smile, Jimmy, next time. I don't smile at all. Especially when I'm working. Never did, never will. Getting darker. Yeah, I know it. Hey, D. Hey, D. D. You're getting darker all the way down here. What? We beat out. How you doing?
No, Mr. Kenny, that's me.
What's that? I think one to me.
Like in there, or do you want to have? No, I'll just have it half. Thank you. Thank you.
How you doing with chicken? You doing good? Yep. You getting low?
No.
Call me when you get low. Like about 3 left. Call me, all right? I get it.
Now, buddy, so it's not getting all stuck in
That's sure. Thank you.
Go on, Josh.
Good morning. Could you tell our viewers who you are in real life and who you are portraying today?
Certainly. My name is Joan Gatturna, and I'm a professional storyteller from Hingham. And this morning I'm going to be telling the story in the first person of Deborah Sampson to the children here at the Dennett School. And as you may know, Deborah was a native of Plympton. She grew up here as a small child. So there's a special interest in her, I think, in this town.
Could you tell us how you came to this role?
I've been a storyteller for a long time, and I was looking many years ago for an 18th century woman whose story I could tell to children. A lot of people recommended Abigail Adams, but I didn't feel that she was particularly child-friendly. And when I read about Deborah with her adventures in terms of being sent away from home and then running away and disguising herself as a boy and becoming a soldier, I thought this was a story that children would love. And that has proved to be true. I've been telling it now for about 20 years, all around New England and even farther south than that.
Could you describe some of the artifacts that you've brought with you?
Certainly. One of the things we do in my school presentation is we learn about the names for various pieces of colonial clothing, tri-cornered hats, waistcoats, breeches. These are all words that are unfamiliar to many third graders, for example, when they start to study the colonial period. So we take a little time talking about the clothing because, of course, it's a very important part of the story when Deborah dons her disguise. And we also talk about the differences between boys' lives and girls' lives. We talk about the chores that girls had to do, including spinning and weaving, and Deborah in her adult life did work as a traveling weaver. And of course, the most compelling, I think, to the children of the props is this little item that I'll show you in a moment. And this is a musket ball. Deborah was shot in the Revolution when she was disguised as a young man and serving in New York State. And she removed the musket ball from her leg by herself with a knife like this in order to avoid detection by the Army doctor. And she succeeded in that. She was able to stay in the Army after her wound.
Is there a way for you to compare the women of that time to today? A lot of changes.
A lot of changes. Of course, women today have many more opportunities, including the opportunity to join the Army, and you don't have to dress as a man to do it if you want to. But in some ways, in colonial times, women were partners with their husbands in family life in a way that they were not later during the time, for example, of the Industrial Revolution. If you were a farm family, your wife and the things that she did within the household and within the kitchen gardens were just as important as what might be done farther out in the fields. But in Deborah's case, as the children will hear today, her father was lost to the family, and she ended up being a servant on a farm in Middleborough for many years. And she found herself at the age of 18, a completely independent young woman with no one really to care for her or oversee her. So she was perhaps able to grab at a little more adventure in her life than would a young woman who had a father to make sure that she stayed in her female sphere.
What would you consider, as we conclude, what would you consider Deborah's most important contribution to the town of Plympton in her lifetime?
Well, in terms of her contribution to the town during her lifetime, she was a very little child, only about 8 years old, when she was sent away. So I don't think she probably had any more impact than any other poor young girl who lost a father. But certainly as an adult, she has brought Plympton some fame. There was a ship named after her during World War II. In the town of Sharon, where she spent most of her adult life, there is a statue in front of the public library honoring Deborah. She is the official heroine of the state of Massachusetts, and every year on the 23rd of May, the governor issues a proclamation naming Deborah and listing all her virtues and attributes. So, and of course, it's always noted that she was born and a native of Plympton, Massachusetts. So she's brought fame after the fact, I would say.
It has been a pleasure to meet you. Good luck with your performance.
Thank you. I'm looking forward to it.
Thank you very much.
Just about your size, like a soldier might wear. That's a pretty dress. We're going to color it up.
Is there a Joan in here?
Yes, you could just leave it on the table.
Alright.
And this is called a waistcoat. And it's the very sort of waistcoat that soldiers wore when they fought with George Washington. So put that on and button it up a little. And I know what some of you are thinking. You're thinking, what a pretty child. And even if she were old, how could anyone believe that she was a boy? Or a man. After all, weren't all the soldiers men? Those two men that I spoke to, they had big, deep voices. Do you have big, deep voices? I didn't think so. And I didn't either. And those men, if they don't shave their faces when they're on the march, they grow a beard. Did that ever happen to you? No. Not to me either. So after a few days, wouldn't you think the soldiers would say, there's something about that Robert shirtlift that just isn't right. Well, you know, that didn't happen, and here's why. They did not have enough grown-up men to be soldiers. The age was 16, but let me tell you, there was many a boy living in a place like Middleborough who would run away from home at the age of 13 or 14, lie about his age, and if he looked like he could do the job, why, they'd just sign him right up. Now, Isabel has hair that is just about the length of the hair that colonial boys had. But instead of wearing it straight down, the boys would pull it back into a tail. And that tail was called a queue. And if you don't mind, honey, I'm just going to take off your headband for 1 minute. And we'll pull your hair back into a tail. Now, a soldier has to carry a lot of things with him on the march. He's got to carry his own plate and his knife and his fork and his spoon, and you wear that over one shoulder. I like that. And you've got to keep your powder dry. This is what you put your gunpowder in. And let's see,
You need a camera.
cute. And we're going to top her off with a tri-cornered hat. There you go. And no soldier is complete without his musket. And there we have transformed a lovely young lady into a likely soldier.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'd like to introduce everyone to our Deborah Sampson. I've got to get this right, or I'll get yelled at. The Deborah Sampson Scholarship Award winner, and her name is Olivia. See, I knew that I was going to mess this up. The Deborah Sampson Scholarship Award winner, and her name is Olivia Cifrino. And she's going to read the essay, the award-winning essay. And there were a lot of essays that were submitted by high school students here in town. And I should tell you that this essay was voted on, and it was a unanimous decision by the committee that Olivia should win.
That better? Okay. Growing up in Plympton, I never questioned whether it was any different from other towns. I assumed every town was filled with people who knew each other, helped each other whenever they could, and were bursting with town pride. But as I got older, I started to see how idyllic Plympton really is. When my mother first brought me home from the hospital, she was greeted by baked goods and casseroles left by anonymous neighbors. When my grandfather was sick, my family and I received calls every day from concerned Plymptonians. When I won an award at school, I received accolades from all over town. Some people might dismiss this as nosiness. Those people have never been part of a community. To be part of a community is to never be in need, never be left unnoticed, and to never be unacknowledged for your achievements. Plympton can not only be defined as a community, but also can be defined as a busy town. It seems like we are either planning a new event or recovering from the last. When I was younger, I never wanted to miss an event for fear I would miss something big. I have to admit nothing big ever did happen. However, I never regretted going to a town event. I entered a pumpkin every year in the Harvest Fair Pumpkin Contest, attended every holiday craft fair, participated in library events, and watched every Memorial Day parade. I have never seen more pride than I do every year at the Memorial Day Parade. Considering the fact that it is only about 10 minutes in length and has been lacking a band for the past 5 years, this is pretty impressive. The Girl Scouts wave the Plympton flag. The police and firemen drive by slowly, sirens blaring. The Boy Scouts throw candy to a cheering crowd, and the selectmen and town officials march proudly. Some may argue living in such a place leaves a person unprepared for the real world. I think growing up in Plympton has prepared me just as well, if not better than, any other town could. From my experiences here, I have learned to be compassionate towards others, to help out whenever I can, and to be proud of where I come from. These lessons are gifts that I will bring with me and apply to whatever I decide to do with my life. Thank you.
Everybody's talking about a new way of walking. You wanna lose your mind. Walk right in, pass it right down. Daddy, let your mind roll on everywhere. Walk right in, sit right down. Daddy, let your mind roll on. Walk right in, sit right down. Daddy, don't you stay too long. Everybody's talking about a new way of walking. Do you wanna lose your mind? Walk right in, that's it right down. And Daddy, let your mind roll on. Keep on rolling. Daddy, let your mind roll on. Keep on rolling. Daddy, let your mind roll on. Thank you. Oh, hit the road, Jack, and don't you come back. No, 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 no. Hit the road, Jack, and don't you come back. Well, baby, listen, baby, don't you treat me this way. You know I'll be back on my feet someday. She said, I don't care if you do. It's understood. You got no money, you just ain't no good. Well, I guess since she said so, I'll just have to pack my things and go. That's right, hit the road, Jack. Don't you come back, no, 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 no. Hit the road, Jack. And don't you come back no more. Hit the road, Jack. And don't you come back no more. No, 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 no more. Hit the road, Jack. And don't you come back no more. Don't you come back no more. Don't you come back no more. Oh, thank you. Thank you.
What are you doing with the crow? He can have. So, why are you going?
He's one of the world's smallest. It's not hard for him to get through.
I guess not.
He's an escape artist. He's only 25 inches tall.
What kind of an animal is this?
This is a dwarf horse. Dwarf miniature horse. He's 4 years old and his name is Kilroy. Is your name Kilroy? Yeah?
Escape artist.
Would you like to pet him? Go ahead. You can pet him. That's all right. You won't hurt you. You can come over and pet him. Okay, come on this side. They're taking pictures. What do you think, Nicole? Huh? Hi, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Oh, this is fun.
Chicken.
How many chickens?
Wait, what's up?
Where's that? Wow.
On a spider.
They're doing like faces.
Are you doing the whole face?
I didn't mean to tell you. I'm so sorry. I really appreciate it. I'm just sitting there going, I'm so glad you said
Two shots. The first one. All right. All right, now we do that. Ellen, do you remember where that was from? Yeah.
This on? Yeah. Well, thank you. We are Island Grove Chorus. We rehearse in Abington, Massachusetts, but we have people from all over the South Shore in our chorus. And we're here to entertain you, so just stay under the shade tree and enjoy the rest of the program. The next song is from kind of an unusual musical that not too many people know about called Finian's Rainbow. It's called That Great Come and Get It Day.
On that great come and get it day, won't it be fun when worry is done and something is day? That's the time things will come your way. On that great, great come and get it day, my gown will be a calico gown. My shoes will dance all over the town. 'Cause word has gone from Gabriel's horn. The earth beneath your flowers fun, and now it's yours. Glory time's coming for to stay. On that great, great come and get it day. Go get your gown, that calico gown. Go get your mule, that acre of ground. 'Cause word has come from Gabriel's horn. The earth beneath your flowers button, and now it's yours. Glory time's coming for to stay. On that great, great, come and get it, and keep it and share it. On that great, come and get it day. Come and get it.
All it takes is one voice singing so they hear what's on your mind, and when you look around you'll find there's more than one voice singing in the darkness, joining with your one
and every note another octave adds or joined appears unlocked if only one voice would start it on its own. We need just one voice facing the unknown. One voice would never be alone.
It takes that one voice,
one voice. Ba, 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 ba. Ba, 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 ba. It takes that one voice, just one voice, singing in the darkness. All it takes is one voice, shout it out and let it ring. Just one voice.
it takes just one voice,
And everyone will see. Everyone will see. Everyone will see. Everyone will see.
As you can see, we don't use music, so anybody who wants to sing, Iva, can sing right along with us.
Oh, beautiful for spacious skies, for amber waves of grain, for purple mountain majesties above the fruited plain. America, America, God shed His grace on thee, and crown thy good with brotherhood, from sea to shining sea. Oh, beautiful for hills, whose stern and fashioned strength, a thoroughfare for greenery across the wilderness. America, America, God sends thine every flaw. Confirm thy soul in self-control, thy liberty in law. In law. Oh, beautiful for patriotry that sees beyond the years. Thine alabaster cities gleam, undimmed by human tears. America, America, God shed His grace on thee, and crown thy good with brotherhood, from sea to shining sea. America, my home.
Thank you. Were you singing?
Have you heard the new sensation sweeping across the land? It's a musical treat with a Dixieland beat. It's Alexander's ragtime band. Come on in here, come on in here. Alexander's ragtime band. Come on in here, come on in here. It's the best band in the land. They can play a bugle like you've never heard before. Ta-ta-ta-ta-ta-ta-ta-ta. Wah, wah, that's just the bestest band. What an honey lamb, come on along, come on along. Let me take you by the hand. Up to the man who's the leader. of the band. And if you care to hear that Swanee River playing ragtime, come on and hear, come on and hear. Alexander's ragtime, ragtime band. What's that commotion? I got a notion, something's in the air. Let's meander and take a gander, let's see what's a-coming down there. See the shiny red suits, hear the Rudy toot-toot, it's Alexander's band, I swear. And if you really wanna hear that Swanee River playing ragtime, come on and hear, come on and hear. Alexander's ragtime, down the street, it's Alexander's ragtime Let tyrants shake their iron rod, and slavery their galling chains. We fear them not, we trust in God. New England's God forever reigns. What grateful offerings shall we bring? What shall we render to the Lord? What hallelujah let us sing, and praise His name on every chord.
Little technical difficulties with wind, but please join us in one verse of America the Beautiful, and thank you so much for having us here today.
straight taking a coffee because you look so fine and I really want to make you mine. I say you look so fine and I really want to make you mine. 4, 5, 6, come on and get your kicks now. You don't need no money with a look like that too, honey. Big fat boots, long brown hair. She's so sweet with the get back there. Well, I can see you out with me, but you are with another man, yeah. I know it ain't got much to say before I let you get away, yeah. Said, are you gonna be my girl? 1, 2, 3, take your hand and cough me because you look so fine and I really want to make you mine. I say you look so fine and I really want to make you mine. 4, 5, 6, come on and get your kicks now. You don't need the money with luck like that, do you, honey? Big fat boots, long brown hair. She's so sweet with the get back there. I can see you have me, but you are with another man, yeah. I know it ain't got much to say before I let you get away, yeah. I can see you have me, but you are with another man, yeah. Be my girl, be my girl. Are you gonna be my girl? Yeah.
Poppy ship on
Once you're Natalie,
We're at 5 o'clock.
hey, there you go. Where's party?